You know that moment when police lights start flashing in your quiet suburban driveway on a perfect Saturday morning? Yeah. That was me, all because I dared to paint my fence coastal teal instead of the HOA-approved bland beige number 47. What happened next turned one Karen's power trip into the most satisfying karmic smackdown you'll ever hear. The sun was warm on my back in Evergreen Meadows. That picture-perfect Colorado suburb where every lawn is manicured like it's auditioning for a magazine and every house looks like it was ordered from the same beige catalog. I'd just inherited my late dad's place on the edge of the development after he passed. Folks around here whispered I was the quiet graphic designer who kept to himself, the guy who didn't show up to enough potlucks. The one who didn't quite fit the vibe. I let them talk. Smiling politely while they gossiped suited me fine. I'd learned a long time ago that the best revenge is watching people dig their own graves. I was halfway through brushing that gorgeous teal onto the side fence, the one visible from the community path, humming along to an old Springsteen track when I heard the click-clack of designer heels on concrete. I didn't even need to turn around. The cloud of expensive perfume and self-righteousness hit me first. Alexander Rivera, came the voice. Syrupy sweet but sharp enough to cut glass. What in heaven's name do you think you're doing to the aesthetic harmony of Evergreen Meadows? I wiped the brush on my jeans and turned. There she stood, Meredith Langley. HOA president. Blonde bob sculpted like it was carved from marble. Pastel cardigan over a white blouse. Clipboard in one hand and phone in the other like she was about to summon the National Guard. Her smile was all teeth. The kind that never reached her eyes. Morning. Meredith. Just freshening up the fence. Thought it needed a little life. Her face shifted into that signature angry magenta shade that clashed spectacularly with her coral lipstick. She tapped her phone screen like it owed her money. This is a clear violation of Section 4. Article 2 of the Covenants. Exterior modifications must adhere to the approved neutral palette. Teal is not neutral. Alexander. It's garish. You're lowering property values for everyone. I kept my voice even. Actually, this section of the property was part of the original Caldwell holdings before the subdivision was fully developed. The covenants don't apply the same way here. Grandfathered in the old deeds. She let out a little laugh that sounded like a balloon losing air. Oh. Bless your heart. Every inch of Evergreen Meadows falls under HOA jurisdiction. I've handled worse than a rogue painter. The Peterson family learned that the hard way with their yellow door last year. Right on cue. My neighbor Sarah wandered over with her coffee mug. Golden retriever trotting beside her. She raised an eyebrow at the scene. Meredith. He's right. I saw the old plats at the county office. His corner lot was carved out before the HOA even existed. Meredith spun on her. Eyes narrowing. No one asked for your input. Sarah. I won the Peterson case. I know the rules better than anyone. She stabbed at her phone again. We'll let the authorities sort this out. 20 minutes later. A sheriff's deputy rolled up. Lights spinning but siren off. Looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Meredith practically vibrated with righteous energy as she pointed at my half-painted fence like it was radioactive waste. Officer. This is destroying the community aesthetic. It's a blight. The deputy, a tired-looking guy named Ramirez, walked over. Touched the fresh teal. And sighed. Looks nice. Actually. You got those original deeds handy. Mr. Rivera? I grabbed the folder from inside and handed it over. He scanned them. Then handed them back with the tiniest smirk. Everything checks out. This parcel predates the HOA restrictions. No violation here. Meredith's face went from magenta to full-on purple. This is collusion. You're all in on it. She stormed off. heels stabbing little angry holes into the grass. Muttering about people who think they're above the rules. I should have known she wasn't done. That evening, the community Facebook group lit up. A blurry photo of my fence appeared with the caption, "Eyesore alert in Evergreen Meadows." This is what happens when residents think the rules don't apply to them. Thoughts? The comments were vicious. "Fire hazard, brings down the whole neighborhood," typical entitled artist type. My blood stayed cool. I just sipped my beer on the back porch and watched the outrage machine churn. The next morning at 7:45. Pounding on my door. Meredith shoved a thick envelope into my chest. Official violation notice. 30 days to repaint in an approved color or face fines and legal action. We can make this very expensive for you. Alexander. I took a slow sip of coffee and looked her dead in the eyes. Meredith. You have no idea who you're messing with. My family built half this valley before it was chopped into subdivisions. You really want to go to war over a fence? She leaned in. Perfume clashing with pure spite. Watch me. I've removed bigger eyesores than you. This community has standards. As she click-clacked away, I felt that familiar cold clarity settle in. She thought she was bullying some quiet widower who just wanted to paint his fence the color of the ocean from his childhood trips. She had no clue I still controlled the land under the community clubhouse. The central green space. And the buffer zones through a family trust my dad set up decades ago. The HOA's lease on the main facilities was coming up for renewal next year, at my discretion. She'd picked the wrong quiet guy. Over the next couple weeks, things got uglier. Someone spray-painted "Sell or Else" in red across my new Teal fence at 3 a.m. The community page kept posting anonymous concerns about my sloppy property. Then a guy in a cheap suit showed up claiming to be a compliance officer, poking around with a clipboard until I asked for ID and he bolted. My old college buddy who now did private investigations helped me connect the dots. Meredith wasn't just a board control freak. She was in deep with a development firm that wanted to expand the subdivision, tear down the green buffers, and build more luxury homes. My land was the key piece they needed. She'd been pushing emergency community improvements to force sales and line her pockets with kickbacks. I played along for a bit. Let her think I was cracking. I made a loud phone call at the local coffee shop where her allies hung out, complaining about serious financial pressures and how I might have to liquidate fast. I accidentally left some fake documents at the county office suggesting old liens on the property. Then I met the developer, Marcus Hale. Pretending to be defeated. Marcus. I'm thinking about your offer, I said, rubbing my temples like I had the weight of the world on me. But there are complications. Family trust stuff. My dad wasn't great with paperwork. His eyes lit up like a slot machine. He thought he smelled blood in the water, a desperate owner sitting on prime land he could steal cheap. 2 days later, the big show arrived. Meredith led a little protest mob to my driveway. Signs reading "Protect our standards" and "Enforce the covenants." She stepped forward, glowing with fake moral superiority. Alexander Rivera. The board demands you comply immediately. Your property is a blight on our community. I stepped onto the porch with a thick folder. You know what, Meredith? You're absolutely right. The community deserves transparency. I started pulling out deeds one by one, holding them up so everyone could see the stamps and notary seals. Here's the original trust document for the central green space, 120 acres. Here's the community clubhouse parcel. And this one's my favorite. The crowd went dead silent as I held up the final page. The land your HOA headquarters sits on. My family leased it to the association back in '89. The renewal's next year. And after recent events, I'm thinking the terms might need a serious rethink. Sarah was already on her phone checking county records. Holy crap. He's right. His trust owns the heart of Evergreen Meadows. Meredith's perfectly composed face cracked. Her eyes darted around as board members started whispering. Meredith, did you know about this? One of them asked. Voice shaky. Of course not, she snapped. But the confidence was gone. Her voice pitched higher. This doesn't change anything. The covenants still apply. That's when my buddy pulled up in his truck with a big banner, Evergreen Meadows Wild since 1989. He hopped out wearing a t-shirt with my Teal fence printed on it and handed me another stack of papers. I raised my voice so the whole street could hear. Meredith's right about one thing, this community deserves better leadership. That's why I'm donating every acre my family still controls to the Colorado Land Trust. It becomes protected open space in a public nature preserve. No more development. No more McMansions. Just wild grass. Trails. And wildlife, forever. The applause started slow. Then exploded. People who'd been attacking me online days earlier were suddenly cheering. Meredith stood alone on my lawn. Her perfect armor shattered. Face cycling through shock. Rage. And raw panic. This isn't over, she hissed. Voice trembling. I have connections. I'll bury you. I leaned against my now famous Teal fence and smiled. Bring it. Meredith. But next time you try to bully someone, maybe check who actually owns the ground you're standing on. The weeks that followed were pure chaos, in the best way. Fire inspectors showed up on anonymous complaints. IRS letters arrived with vague threats. But the evidence I'd quietly gathered was ironclad. Meredith had been skimming HOA dues for years. Small amounts that added up to over $200,000 funneled into personal accounts. She'd pulled the same scam in 2 previous states, fake developments. Ruined retirees. Vanished money. At the emergency town hall. The room was packed. Meredith took the podium in her most expensive power suit, spinning a story about how I was a selfish hoarder blocking progress and community wellness. She flashed graphs showing fake property value drops and pitched seizing land for a big development project that would save our schools and roads. Then I stood up. Let's talk about reasonable offers. Meredith. Let's talk about the $150,000 you and your developer friends tried to lowball me for land worth 10 times that. Let's talk about the vandalism on my fence, the same fence you called the cops on me for painting. I hit play. The room filled with clear audio of her voice from a recorded meeting. Once we force him out, the development rights will make us rich. The idiot has no idea what he's sitting on. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Meredith started sweating. Her makeup running. A retired teacher from the back stood up. That woman sold me worthless land in Florida years ago. Took my retirement. I have the papers. More voices joined. Arizona. Nevada. Same pattern. The room turned on her like a tide. Meredith cracked completely. You people are ungrateful. I was going to make this place matter. I could have made you all rich. No, I said quietly. Stepping closer. You would have made yourself rich. Just like before. You're not a leader. You're a parasite. She lunged for her phone, screaming she'd go live and expose me. But Deputy Ramirez was already moving. Ma'am. You're under arrest for fraud. Filing false reports. Vandalism. And embezzlement. As they let her out, her face was a masterpiece of disbelief and fury, the Queen of Beige realizing the world wasn't painted in her colors anymore. A month later, the new Evergreen Meadows Nature Preserve held its opening ceremony. My Teal fence stood out like a proud flag against the restored wild grasses. The story went viral. HOA Karen's Teal fence meltdown creates 500-acre wildlife sanctuary. Some people still call me the guy who started it all with a can of paint. I just smile, sit on my porch, and watch the sunset paint the preserve in every color the old covenants would have banned. So tell me, was Meredith just a dedicated HOA president enforcing the rules for everyone's benefit? Or was she a classic power-tripping Karen who finally got the poetic justice she deserved? Who was really in the wrong here, the guy who painted his fence teal? Or the woman who tried to destroy his life over it? Drop your thoughts below. I read every single one.